12:05 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. It's Wednesday. That means it's Joe Steckler Day, helping seniors of Brevard. And right now, here's the host and the founder of the show, none other than himself, Joe Steckler. Hi, Joe. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John, and thank you, listeners, for listening. Someday I'm going to sit down and figure out with John exactly how many years I've been doing this, but it is a long time, folks, and I think that how much I've been blessed and privileged to be able to work with so many people here in Brevard County, and our joint efforts have helped so many people, and there's still more ways to help people, and I would remind you that Helping Seniors is a program that's designed to inform, educate, and help people that need help getting care, getting access to care, and finding out about what's available to help them. Our sponsors are the people that help us pay our way. We have our annual fund, and we have our car raffle, which we're getting ready to kick off because just got through clearing all the signage and stuff like that. It takes a lot of work to get all this stuff together. But we also have some wonderful sponsors to include Bill Johnson, an elder law attorney, Vitas Healthcare, the Eye Institute, Ruth Rhodes, another elder law attorney, and Seniors Helping Seniors, who's represented their owner, Jennifer Helin, and Jennifer is with me at the studio. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you, Joe. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I always enjoy having Jennifer on the show because I've known her, and I know how much she cares about what she does, and she came into the studio this morning or this afternoon all wound up about a case that she's working with, and I told her that I said, over the years I've been doing this stuff, but I can't even count on my hands and feet the number of cases I've had just like that one, and you just feel blessed that people like you that listen to the show that pick up a little tidbit of information about how to help people. So many times you never use the information that you hear here, but other times you do use that information. And I've got several topics I want to talk about this morning, and Jennifer will talk about them with me. But I'll let Jennifer lead off this morning because she's got something that's extremely important, and I know I know a lot about the topic she's going to talk about, and maybe I can add to what she's going to say. So. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Well, thank you, Joe. I am fired up today. I just want everybody to get the services that they need and the help that they deserve. So it's frustrating when that doesn't happen the way that you hope it will, for the best of the customer, for the best of a senior. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is the services that are available in Brevard County for people with visual impairments. One of the very first customers we had a long time ago, I got a phone call from a gentleman. He had
why don't you tell people what you are and what you do so they understand why you're interested in this?
I help people.
Let's get on the ground floor.
That's what I do.
You tell them what you do.
So when I'm not here on the radio show with Joe, I am the owner of Seniors Helping Seniors, and that's really what we do. We hire seniors to help seniors. So we hire very active, engaged, wonderful seniors, 50 and over, to go out and help older seniors with transportation, like housekeeping, meal preparation, anything non-medical that a senior needs so that they can stay at home where they want to be. And it's a closer fit. It's someone who is a little closer to age, kind of speaks the same language, listens to the same music, maybe from the same area originally. So it's a very comfortable introduction to having help in the home. And we find that works really, really well. And our caregivers are amazing.
So that's why Jennifer has a special attachment to what she's going to talk about, folks. But I thought you needed to know what she does and why she's so fired up about what she wants to talk about. So now you can go ahead.
Okay. So now I'll start. So I was relating a story a number of years ago. We had a client call, and he had one bad eye, one good eye. Unfortunately, the good eye had a sudden accident, and he damaged that eye, was not repairable. He was suddenly blind, had no vision, in one eye and very, very limited vision in the other. The doctor said, sorry, there's nothing we can do, and sent him home without any services. And he was floundering. So within a few minutes of being on the phone with him, we were able to provide some resources here in the county that no one had given him before. And it just amazed me that I know doctors are very, very busy. They can't do everything, but this man had been sitting literally in the dark for 4 months without any services. And so that happens. Unfortunately, that story has repeated itself over the years. And I know you have heard that as well with people who have glaucoma or macular degeneration. And I never say it right, retinitis pigmentosa, which I've heard of just recently. We've had 2 or 3 clients.
What was that last thing?
You're going to make me say it again when I can't pronounce it. Retinitis pigmentosa. It can be non-aggressive. It can be very aggressive. Just actually listened to a book, a 25-year-old YouTuber who had that condition and was blind by 14. But a good friend of mine, actually, who has really educated me on the services for the visually impaired. Her name is Jennifer Cleveland. She's absolutely wonderful. I will give a huge shout out to her. Inspirational. She lost her sight because of celiac disease, which I had never heard of before. But she's an amazing advocate for people with visual impairments here in Brevard County.
Well, my wife and I take a gentleman to church every Sunday, and he has macular degeneration. But he hasn't, it's really, I mean, the man is amazing. He walks roughly 1.5 miles up from where he lives up to a restaurant to have sort of a lunch, I guess, every day. He walks every day, walks up there, walks back, and he is 90 years old, and he has macular degeneration. And if we run across something we don't know about, I can ask the man, because he's got he always comes back to us, and when he gets in the car on Sunday, he hands me a sheet, or has my wife a sheet of locations, resources that the people that we told him about can use. And the man, he goes shopping at Walmart. He goes on a scat bus, I think it is, goes to Walmart, and he buys his groceries, gets his groceries home. He lives on the 6th floor of a condominium, and when the doggone elevator went out, that man climbed 6 floors with his groceries and everything else, and continued his life. He said he had to slow down going up and down the steps, but he still did it. And he doesn't let this get ahead of him. And he was concerned for a long time about not having the push-button lights on A1A that would make the traffic stop, but give him good access. And now they put these sights there so that the lights just flash this bright white light to the warning sign to drivers to slow down or stop. And it helps a lot of people. It
really does. And that's the goal, is to keep everyone as independent as possible. And I think if they had access to these services, they would become more independent, and they would lead much happier lives than, floundering like this poor gentleman did.
Yeah, but you have I noticed that I asked her when she came in the studio what it was she had. Why don't you talk about the sources that you have on that thing, or Jennifer? Because, I never assume that our listeners know everything, or I always assume that many listeners don't know a darn thing about some of the things we talk about. So it's just like the person in school who fails to raise their hand to ask a question because they feel it's a dumb question, when in hindsight it might be a very intelligent question.
So there are several that I wanted to talk about. The first one is the Center for the Visually Impaired, which is out of Daytona. So if someone Googles it, they might think, oh gosh, that's Daytona. They're not going to help me here in Brevard County. But they do. They are very helpful here in Brevard County. They have teachers that will come out. They've had some very successful fundraisers, Dining in the Dark, and they've been able to bring more teachers in to help people one-on-one with assistive devices in community, making sure that people can get on that scat bus to get off. They know where they're going, training with a white cane, all sorts of really helpful things. They have amazing programs. Like I said, they're out of Daytona, but they work right here in Brevard County. So that is a huge benefit. So I encourage everybody to check out the Center for the Visually Impaired. I do have...
I should have reminded people that what Jennifer's going to talk about, you might want to take some notes maybe, so...
Get your paper and pencil out.
Yeah, get your paper and pencil, because I'm going to ask Jennifer to give you the phone numbers for all these places if she has them on her sheet.
I do.
There. So go ahead, give them the phone number for this place.
So the Center for the Visually Impaired, the phone number is 1-800-227-1284. Again, that is 1-800-227-1284, Center for the Visually Impaired. Really wonderful organization. Okay. Some people don't know that Florida does have a division of blind services. And again, that is very helpful. They do have different services within that. One that people may be really familiar with is the Talking Books Library, where you do get a special player, and they will mail you tapes. You drop them right back into the envelope. They go back, and they have a huge library of different periodicals, magazines, books. They have research things, for students. So they have a huge library that is available for free to people with visual impairments.
Are they located here in Brevard County?
They are not. So I do have an 800 number for them as well. But everything with that Talking Books Library is by mail. So it goes right to your door. You can order what books you want. Stick them back in the envelope. They go back, and you can get some new ones.
I don't know if you would know this, but the Talking Books program goes back, I'm aware, to the 40s, to the 1940s. It probably was before that, but I know that it was in the 40s because I had a cousin that was a radio announcer, and he had a tremendous voice for speaking, and he was a reader for the books for the blind. So he read books, and they taped them, and they did exactly what you're talking about now. So it's been around for a long time, and what's really good about it is that it continues, and they probably have improved the whole
I think
program.
They have, too. And it's wonderful to have a really good reader, too, because if the voice isn't what you matched in your head, sometimes that is a little bit odd, but but it's a really great service. So the Division of Blind Services for Florida, that is also an 800 number. It's 1-800-342-1828. Again, that's 1-800-342-1828. There are two other organizations that I wanted to mention real quick. One is the Brevard Association for the Advancement of the Blind, BAB is what it's affectionately called, Brevard Association for the Advancement of the Blind. They are right here in Satellite Beach.
Right outside the entrance to my house.
Exactly. So you're very familiar with them.
Yep.
So that's a 321 number. So 321-773-7222. I want to make sure I got that right. So 321-773-7222.
And do you have any idea what they do?
They have a number of different services as well, and I know they do some support groups, and they have some get-togethers, which is really nice. So you can be with other folks who are experiencing similar issues.
Like support groups?
Exactly, and learn from one another, and just social activities too.
Okay.
All right. There is a National Federation of the Blind, but they do have a Space Coast chapter here in Brevard County. I have a local phone number for them, and they are on Facebook. So if you are a Facebook person, then that might be helpful too, to go on to Facebook and join that local Space Coast chapter. But the phone number for the National Federation of the Blind Space Coast chapter is 321-412-1945. And again, that's 321-412-1945.
Something, Jennifer, I wonder about, and I don't know if you know the answer, and some of our listeners may know. And listeners, I'll just remind you that the phone number here at WEJF, which is a 90.3 FM on your air dial, is 722-9998. 722-9998. And you can certainly call us if you have a question or anything, and what we do, we'll try to answer for you on the air, and if we don't know the answer, we'll certainly get it for you and either call you and or announce what the answer was on our next radio show. We've tried very hard to get people to listen to the show and spread this network so that we can get information to everybody in Brevard County about the things that Jennifer's talking about today. Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
Well, the last one that I wanted to mention is another Facebook page, and it's called Brevard County Visually Impaired. It is a closed Facebook group, so if someone is interested in that, they can always give me a call, reach out to me, and I will make sure that they get connected. My friend Jennifer Cleveland actually runs that group, and it is for people here in the county to ask questions, get referrals. I follow that group, and there are people that, okay, where do I go for this? How do I do that? So it's a great place, any time of day or night to be able to go on and talk to people and find out what services they've used, or maybe just to share a story of what happened that day. Because through that group and through Jennifer, she's really educated me on how I, as a sighted person, can help someone with a visual impairment. You think, especially my background working with kids with disabilities for so long, but a lot of things, subtle things that, gosh, I don't know. I love dogs, huge dog fan. I have a hard time not petting her dog, but you're not allowed. When he has his vest on, he is working, and it can be very dangerous. So not petting the dog. And not really even acknowledging the dog is there with his vest on. And whenever I come up to Jennifer, she has a little bit of residual, but I always reintroduce myself because if it's a dark room, she doesn't know who I am. So giving her that, hey, Jennifer, it's Jennifer Helin. How are you doing today? So she's not wondering, which person this is.
You keep mentioning this, Jennifer Cleveland. I take it she is blind?
She is. She lost her sight, and forgive me because I'm not sure exactly, about 10 years ago. I think it's a little more than that now.
But you're saying that she runs a Facebook page?
Mm-hmm.
How does a blind
She is a massage therapist, and she does inner sight yoga. That all happened because of the Center for the Visually Impaired. She floundered.
You learned that after she was blind?
After she was blind. So because of that visual impairment, like I said, she did flounder for a little while. She found them, and they were really able to help her. That all happened after. So she was a paramedic before. This all happened after. Just because you have a disability doesn't mean that you can't be independent and be an amazing. She is an absolutely inspirational person.
You say
she
she
shares
was a paramedic?
her stories. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And she has really educated me on a lot of these things. So there are so many useful devices and things that she can listen to instead of looking at a Facebook post. She can listen to it, or she can blow it up so she can see it, to be able to read it. There are a lot of assistive technologies out there that people just aren't aware of.
Oh, I agree. There's one of the things I told Jennifer that I wanted to talk about, because I've had it happen to me lately, and it gets into the business of falls. And Jennifer is, we've talked a lot about macular degeneration and services for the blind, but I think people need to know some of these other things that you and I can talk about, since you are in this business of providing care, and you have certain things that you can do and cannot do in your company when somebody experiences a fall. And I want you to talk to people about what you have to do due to your license. But, people, as we get older, and I am in that category at 85, I've talked on radio shows so many times and television shows and written in the newspapers since 2005. It's almost 2020. It's a long time. Well, I was writing before that too. But as much as we can talk, Jennifer, about falls and fall prevention and what you can do and what you can't do, you can never always be prepared for the unexpected, what you just don't think will happen when you are trying to take precautions. The other day, I had just taken my shower, and when I started to get older and I was having some balance problems, we had grab bars and all the things put into the bathrooms and in the showers so that I could hold on to them and I would help prevent a fall. And it's been very successful over the years, but I think it was about 4 or 5 days ago, I had just finished my shower, and I had a sweatshirt hanging on the back of my rollator, and I wanted to hang it up on a hanger I had on the back of the bathroom door. And if I would have put it on the back of the door, I would have been holding onto the door handle with my right hand, and if I lost my balance, I was leaning against the wall. So there was no problem. I was thinking, and I do this every time I get out of that darn shower. And but this time, I used my right hand to try to hang this sweatshirt up, and I just could feel myself losing my balance, and I had nothing to grab onto with my right hand, and I was already leaning, so there was no way I could prevent a fall. It's one of those things that happen. And we have in all our bathrooms, just like most people here in Brevard County, a real hard floor in the bathroom. And I felt myself falling, and I tried to get my shoulder down and over onto my back so that I wouldn't fall on my hip joint, because I had a hip replacement on that right side, and I didn't want to dislocate the hip. And I hit that tile floor, and I called for my wife, and I've had some really tremendous problems with my knees, and it just really hurt to roll over onto the knees on the hard tile floor to try to get up. And so I had to get my wife to get a pillow to put underneath my knees so I didn't hurt my knees any more than the darn things already hurt, in order to she brought my rollator, and I had things I could lean onto, and then with her helping, I managed to get up. I was lucky.
You were very lucky. We're very grateful for that.
Yes, I was. I was extremely lucky. And but we can talk all we want about prevention and everything else, but you can sort of prepare yourself for these uneventful things by, there are places in town that teach how to fall, the physical therapy places, and they can give you a short course and what you should do and when you should try to use your hands to brace yourself. So many older people are prone to breaking a wrist or breaking an arm, and when they try to break a fall, there are just so many things you can do, and things you shouldn't do, and things you should do, and it just we're just about ready for a break. So I'm gonna take a break, and I want to add one thing, and I know Jennifer wants to say something about fall prevention, so stay with us, because we got about 4 or 5 other things that a lot of concerns veterans and what's happening on the medical field. So please stay with us. I got something I really think you need to know about. So we'll see you on the other half of the show.
12:33 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. It's Wednesday. That means it's Helping Seniors of Brevard Day with Joe Steckler. And once again, for the second half of the show, here's your host, Joe Steckler.
Thank you, John, and welcome listeners to the second half of the show. I just want to remind people, that our job is to help seniors and those that care for seniors to get to the right resources to help you understand what is available and how you can maybe do a better job of providing care that you are providing. All of our stuff is made possible through sponsors, our car raffle, and our annual fund drive, which we have some very generous people in Brevard County that continue to help us. But some of the sponsors are also people that care for you, people like Hibiscus Court, Assisted Living, Ear Care, Chateau Madeleine, which is a senior living and member care place, is just about to come online or is online. Care Plus, which deals with health plans. And August Belton, who is a financial planning associate, teaches also at Florida Tech. And it's not just putting your money in the hands of a stockbroker that makes his money or her money by selling your stocks and transferring you. They get a cut on each time they sell. I'm not denigrating these people at all, but I'm just saying, be careful on how you try to use the scarce resources you have to make more resources. And but having said that, that's all the warnings I want to give today. But we got about 3 or 4 more topics we want to talk about. But let's finish up the fall prevention type thing. Jennifer, you had an example that you wanted to talk about on falls, something that you had said.
Well, there was 2 things on falls that I wanted to mention. First is on the break we were talking about having an emergency alert button, which is really helpful, especially when you live alone. It is a good thing to have. I consider it insurance. You hope you never ever have to use it, but boy, are you happy when it's there and you have to use it. We've had customers fall before. My father-in-law fell and was on the floor for 3 days. He's thankfully very ornery, and he's doing great now. You know, he's they're laughing, but he is, and he's doing great. And I think that's, you know, his attitude was everything.
He fell on the floor for 3 days?
He was on the floor for 3 days. So
I hate to ask some questions I could ask, but how did he eat her?
He didn't. And so he was incredibly dehydrated when he got to the hospital. And he is very, very lucky. He's a very lucky man. He was finally able to crawl all the way over to the phone. But it took that long to get there. He is an incredibly lucky person. Because unfortunately after that many days, you know, we expected the worst. And he is, you know, still telling jokes and thankfully, you know, doing very well. But he's the exception, not the rule. And so an emergency alert button is a great thing to have. And we talk about, oh, I've got my cell phone. Yeah, but your cell phone's over there on the countertop in the kitchen when you walked away from it. So you can't guarantee that cell phone is always going to be right on you. I know men might keep it in their back pocket, but ladies, I set mine down. It's somewhere in the house. So having that button right there with you, either on your wrist or on a pendant on a necklace, is so important, especially if you're home alone by yourself. Like I said, we were talking, one of the ladies that Joe and I both know real well. She's a much younger senior. You would never think that she would want to have one of these, but she was home alone on Friday night, fell off a ladder, and thankfully she was fine, but she got thinking about it. No one would have looked for her until Monday morning when she didn't show up for work. So she has one she wears on the weekends, just in case. Again, it's insurance. Hopefully no one ever has to use them, but if there's a fall and you cannot get up, that is what it's there for, to get you to emergency services, because 2 days, 3 days on the floor, dehydration, all not good.
I agree. We had one lady that we knew was in a bathtub for a day, couldn't get out of the bathtub.
And that's where most of the falls happen, are in the bathroom.
In the bathroom. But did you have one more? You said you had 2.
Well, the other thing, and you and I were talking about that, is after a fall, Joe was asking if we as seniors helping seniors will help that person up. And I said no. Our protocol is that we call 911, because you don't know what kind of damage has been done on the way down. You can walk on a broken hip. You can walk on a broken leg and do a whole lot more damage. So we want to make sure that the paramedics come out. If they assess you and put you back up on your feet and say you're fine, awesome. We have that professional opinion that says you're good to go. If they think there might have been some damage and they want you to go to the hospital, we are going to encourage you to go and be checked out, because you don't want to do more damage. And and unfortunately, when an older person, maybe there's been some bone loss, it's easy. It's unfortunately easy to.
You don't. And I realize that, and so I've gotten mad at myself for letting myself get in the shape I have. So I'm restarting my physical therapy again. In fact, starting today after the show.
Good.
And so we'll see what happens to that. But I want to talk just for a minute about balance, folks, and please pay attention. So many people need a cane. They won't use a cane. But those of you that do need a cane and do use a cane, you also must realize that while the cane assists you, the cane cannot prevent you from falling certain ways. And this is where it becomes extremely valuable to use something that I call, and it is called a rollator, a four-wheel device that you can lean on, put stuff into. It can be the carrier for things for you. It's got a seat. When you get tired, you can sit down. And think about this for a minute. Those of you that use a cane, or those of you that should use a cane and don't, that if you have the rollator and you feel yourself, if you have the cane in your right hand, and it's important to know which hand to use the cane. There's so many things that you need to know about just using a cane. Use it the right way. But the cane is sort of a one-directional assist. And if you have a balance problem along with some other problems like a knee buckling problem or something like that, you have a cane and your knee buckles and you feel yourself falling the other way where the cane is not in that hand to provide a force to keep you upright, it becomes extremely important to have something like the rollator. I have a rollator. And I do use a cane sometimes, depending on what it is and where I'm going. But I'm finding that I've had so many problems with the balance that I tend more to use the rollator than the cane, because it's just something that you need to know about. And this is where it's important that you know the right kind of people to call if you really question the use of a cane. And there are doctors that can help with this. There are other organizations that can help you. And if you call our office, it's a 3-to-1 number, 473-7770, 473-7770. Our education specialist, Kim Bernard, can give you information on where to call, on sources of information, how to get help, with all the things that Jennifer and I are talking about this morning. So it's so important. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the loss of doctors in Brevard County. I know that I didn't realize until about 3 or 4 days ago that over the last 6 or 7 years, we've lost roughly 500 doctors in Brevard County. And a lot of these were our experienced doctors. They left for a number of reasons. When there were certain changes in the medical system of Brevard County, they didn't even make as much money as they had made previously, but they left. And so we're getting replacements in the form of younger doctors that don't have the wealth of experience that these other doctors had. The whole medical system is changing. It's not just what you hear on hear about on radio and television and in a newspaper that you read about, but it's so important that we understand these changes in our medical system, Jennifer. And I know what really hit me the other day real hard was that I had a doctor tell me that he has, and this is just one doctor, folks, and we've got maybe 1,000 doctors in Brevard County. Maybe. Let's just say we got 1,000 doctors. But This one doctor told me he had at least 2 people a month tell him that they had been talked into going into a Medicare Advantage plan, and these were retirees or veterans of some type that were in the Medicare TRICARE program. And folks, if you have Medicare and TRICARE, if you're a military retiree and you do have that, there is no better plan than the Medicare TRICARE. You are eligible to use any doctor you want, any place, at any time. Everything is paid for. You just can't beat it. It kills me, Jennifer, to think that these people are pressured by salespeople into going into a Medicare Advantage plan and giving up all those free benefits that they have.
And an ethical person would look at the plans that you have versus what they have and tell you, you know what, you're better off staying where you are.
Yeah, but
and
it's
unfortunately,
it's about money, Jennifer.
Not everybody is ethical.
Yep.
So Shine is where you should go to before you change your policy. Joe, tell them about Shine and what they do.
Shine is an organization called Serving the Health Insurance Needs of Florida's Elders, and they're a nonprofit organization. They're funded by a national program. Each state, there's $50 million put into the program nationally, folks, nationally now, $1 million to each state. And that $1 million in each state covers all the needs of your Shine people. Nobody on a local level gets paid. It's all volunteers, and the program here is run by Lance Jarvis, and Lance is probably one of the nicest darn people you ever want to meet, and he is extremely knowledgeable about healthcare needs, insurance programs, what you need, what you don't, what you shouldn't have, what you shouldn't do. They have an office, a local office, and I don't have the number with me, but the local office is located out in, I think it's the Wickham, in the Wickham Park. They have an office there, and Jennifer's looking to see if she can find a number on her cell phone and give it to you, but Shine is just so important that for people to know about. But
all right, I have it. It's actually on Leisure Way, which is that little street right into Wickham Park.
All right.
So it's 2785 Leisure Way, Melbourne, Florida, which is at the mouth of Wickham Park. And the phone number is 321-757-0660. Again, that's 321-757-0660.
And folks, if you have a question about let's say if you're a Medicare person and you're looking for supplementary insurance, you're not going to get any better advice on policy than you're going to get from going to Shine. They don't make any money on telling you about what programs are available and recommending something to you. It's completely nonprofit, and that's the way they operate. And they're just it's one of the best resources I've found, and soon it will be the 30 years I've been working in this area here in Brevard County, and you just don't find a better resource than that. And one of the reasons I get so concerned about this with retirees and veterans and everything else is that there are 75,000 plus of us, and I'm one of them, here in Brevard County. And when you start thinking about one of the things that is in the news is on the aircraft carrier Bush, there have been 5 suicides. And on 5 on one aircraft carrier. And folks, I can tell you honestly, in my 38 years of military service, I do not remember on any ship I was ever on a suicide. I just don't remember it. I really don't. And this is becoming something that's extremely a concern, and veterans and those that care for veterans should know about it. And with 75,000 here in Brevard County, it touches a lot of families. That a statistic that has come out recently is that in the last decade, last 10 years, the Veterans Administration is aware of 6,000 veterans that have committed suicide. That's roughly, I'm sorry, 60,000, not 60,000. It was 6,000 a year. 6,000 a year. And folks, that's a national number, but still, that's a tremendous number of people. And one of the reasons it's happening is because veterans, many veterans, simply fail to get the right care they need. They don't get to the right source that can help them for any number of reasons. They have stress levels that they've never been able to adequately cope with. They have financial problems, and it's really sad because I was in Lowe's yesterday, and they're having a day-long fair to interview people for working at Lowe's. I don't know what they make there, but if it's $15 an hour, heavens to Betsy, that's that amount. If you're able to work, and they have some very senior people that do work at Lowe's, it's a chance to make your life right again, and stop feeling sorry for things that you can't do anything about, and fight it. I just, I use myself so many times, folks, as an example. Jennifer knows that, and she's on our board of directors for helping seniors, and I've been coping with this fibromyalgia and pain for years. And sometimes I just don't want to even move, and sometimes I can't move. And when I can't move, I generally go to sleep, and I'll sleep 2 or 3 hours. And I'll wake up, and most of the time I feel better. But yeah, I get mad at myself because I don't have the same get up and go that I had 30 years ago. And that just happens. And I know when we think about stuff like this, we can use our personal examples. You can use examples of people that you've seen in your business, Jennifer. And if we can just help, if we help one listener get help because of what we've said on this radio show, then it's been worth the time we put into the research and what we talk about on this radio show. Absolutely. And there are a lot of services available for vets. You just have to ask. And if the vet themselves won't ask, have the family ask and keep asking. Because within the county here and the clinics up in Orlando, they really do have a lot of services that people just aren't aware of. So encourage people to reach out to the VA, reach out to the social workers within the VA, get in contact with someone. There is help, and encourage people to get help. Just because a veteran is older and they may have, most times they have Social Security, don't know how much money that Social Security is, but it could be $500 or $600 a month. You can't live on that. And maybe the vet can work, maybe they can't work. If they can't work, there's also a Veterans Aid and Attendance Program, which will, if a veteran and his wife, if he's married, they have a joint income of certain levels, that veteran may be eligible for a couple $1,000s more a month on top of his Social Security. And think what that can make and a difference that can make in living. And if they're retired and they have a Social Security, they're eligible for the Medicare, TRICARE program. There are just so many things that you can help people with. And financially speaking, we may not be able to get everybody a job, but generally, if you look hard enough, you can find a way to help the people. Absolutely. Yeah. The other thing that I think that people should know about is that there's been so much talk in Brevard County about how poor our transportation system is. And we talked on this radio show about one instance of where the SCAT program had changed, dropping people from Trinity Towers off on the other side of the little mall down by Babcock Street and made the people walk all the way back.
Right.
We called Commissioner Tobias' office, Commissioner Isnardi's office. It took one day to change that system back to where the commissioner, and it was Commissioner Isnardi, it's my belief because I called her office. I believe it was Commissioner Isnardi that was responsible for that bus reversing what it did, took the people to the place where they didn't have to walk so far in the heat. And additionally, now Commissioner Isnardi is championing an expansion of the SCAT program in Brevard County. Now, here's the question, folks. Where are they going to get the money to do this? It's a real question because you've got this general revenue fund that the commissioners control explicitly, and how much that money they're going to use to they're going to take away from something else to give to a transportation program. It's all about deciding which needs need to be met first and foremost. And that's a job that it calls for transparency in a government, just like folks have seen. There's been a lot in Florida today recently about the sheriff's budget. Sheriff Ivey is a tremendous person, and every time I meet the man, he's always very careful about, not careful, that's not the right word. He's always very concerned about me and my getting around or getting up steps or anything. He's right there to help. He's just a darn good person. And but still, it doesn't mean that the sheriff, in trying to care for people, maybe he might get overly concerned about how much his needs are when they may not be as much as he thinks they are, but still he's going to fight for what he thinks is right. That's what we all have to do. That's why I've been such a strong advocate for seniors uniting and being better advocates for what seniors need. And that is something that we just simply don't have in Brevard County, and I hope now that I keep talking. I'm going to stop in just a minute, folks, and let Jennifer talk just a little bit. We're just about out of time. But we now have this Senior Resource Center over in Zahn Beachside Assisted Living. There are several organizations there, in fact, 6 of us, and they're also having it's just about to kick off, is a physical therapy section in there run by Dr. Mark Primer, and I know Mark real well, and I'd be interested to see what his program's like. But I'm hoping that the Senior Resource Center will be a stronger advocate for seniors. And they got about 2 minutes to go. So Jennifer looks like she's going to crawl up on the table. What else did you want to say?
No, I just want to, one quick thing following up on something that you said earlier,
okay.
Physical therapy. You were just talking about the new physical therapy at Zahn. So glad to hear that you are going for additional physical therapy. It is so important for people to do that when we were going back to the falls and fall prevention. Physical therapists are great people. Listen, do your exercises. Listen when they talk about the walker versus the cane, what to do in the house. They are amazing people, so really do follow up on those exercises. I know that my article for the newsletter in October is about my own physical journey and trying to become more a healthier version of me now that I am the big 5-0. I want to make sure I'm going into my 50s, 60s, 70s as strong as I can be. And so it's not too late to start to, go ahead and strengthen and exercise and do what you need to do for yourself.
Yeah, you still look pretty good at 50.
Well, thank you, honey.
Yeah, you really do. Folks, I want to just quick, my wife reminded me, there is a seminar for seniors over at Zahn Beachside Assisted Living at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you want to come, you can, but you won't be eligible for the free lunch. But if you want to come, you can call 473-7770 and come and see what people are going to talk about. You might want to really come. It's not a pen and paper handout. It's a seminar where people will tell you what's available. We are just about out of time, and I want to wind the show up now. And I just want to thank you for listening. And I'll tell you that I enjoy doing the shows as I have for many years, and I hope that we can all profit by what we learn from each other. So stay with us next week, and we'll see you.
Thank you so much, Joe. And real quick, happy 58th anniversary, Mom and Dad.
Oh, your mother and dad. Okay,
How about
thank
that?
you. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye-bye.